disco. Let me tell you what happened to me the other day. At the Piggly, standing in line, feeling nervous, waiting my time. Then a large can fell from my coat, so I shouted before they took note. Who threw that ham at me? Who threw that ham at me? Hey, please, did anyone see? Who threw that ham at me?
I want to go home now, you idiots.
Okay, disco garbage can. Yeah, flip your lid. Disco garbage can. Flip your lid. Yeah, get down. Alright. Twirl. Everyone twirl. So I turned and walked away. Like later on I would go and pay. Then it happened when I stopped. A frozen bird fell with a plop.
My family is waiting for me.
A frozen bird fell with a plop. Who flung this turkey at me? Who flung this turkey at me? What's going on? Didn't you see? Someone threw a turkey at me. Yeah, disco garbage can, everybody. Yeah, flip your lid. Disco garbage can. Yeah, do the disco garbage can. Who threw that ham at me? Who threw that ham at me? Hey, didn't anybody see? Who threw that ham at me? Who threw that ham at me? Disco garbage can, everybody. Yeah, get down. Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, go for it, baby. Yeah, that's really great. Well, everybody, I've made my scene here at the disco tonight, so I'm going on to the next disco. Hopefully, I'll see you there.
In the throes of these four rooms, Brighton, iron and withered fumes, far below these sinful means.
Hey guys, Dave Darren here. You can see on the screen what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about, first of all, this guy, David Brighton. Not a ton of brightness in this David Brighton guy, but he puts this out today on Facebook. And he says, if you expect elementary school children to endure the trauma. By the way, I am not adorable, but I am durable. And you guys know that. I am durable, but I'm not adorable. But if you expect elementary school children to endure the trauma of an active shooter drill for your freedoms, you can wear a mask to Costco. So we're going to talk about today. And I know why he was talking about schools, because I happened to be walking our dog Willie around a school, and someone came out of that school building and decided to have a confrontation with me. And that was all about school safety, and this guy hyper about, let's keep our school students safe by overprotecting them, by the way, so that anyone that walks within a 200, 300 foot of a school building should be interrogated and considered hostile and considered dangerous and considered a predator. That's what this guy Dave is very comfortable with. He's comfortable with just assuming and putting the scare tactic in every child. That as soon as they see someone, they gotta fear that adult. They gotta fear that person, no matter who he is, no matter on what side of the fence he's on. We gotta scare the crap out of kids now. And then he's talking about, okay, if you're willing to do that, how about we just make sure that Dave and all of his entourage of bullshit friends wear a mask when they go to Costco, or Walmart, or when they're going down on their wife, you have to make sure that you have that mask on. Or if your wife's going down on you, make sure she's got a mask on, although you can cut a hole in it, all right? So that you get your tongue and mouth in there, all right? You can cut the mask hole in, make sure you got a little bit of play area there so you can experiment sexually with your significant other, all right? Let's say hello to Rita's Juicy Life. That's a pretty sexy name to come on the Dave Darren Show with. Rita's Juicy Life. I can't even say. You know why? Because before this show, I happen to have a Santan beer. I'm in Arizona. Our local brewery is Santan Brewery. I had a beer. Now, right now, I am drinking this drink called Aha. And that is because when David Brighton actually listened to the show tonight, I'm going to be able to say, Aha! We're going to get a load of bullshit tonight. Aha! David Brighton, not the brightest bulb in the universe. Aha! We're going to get our degree of bullshit tonight. And just because we're going to have so much bullshit just today, especially for him, so I'm ready, I've got myself some prune juice. And the reason I got that is because I think we're going to hear so much bullshit tonight that I'm going to need to clean out the colon by drinking prune juice. So I've got my Aha beverage here. So I can say, Aha, there's David joining the show for a ton of bullshit. And I got my prune juice so I can clean out my constipation from just being upshot into my booty with a bunch of bullshit that's going to clog up my digestive system. So I got my prune juice here. All right, let's see. Who do we got here? We've got Dave is lit. That's from Crisp. Good to see you, Crisp. Actually, after the show, I'm going to watch some porn, so I'm going to be crisp later on, all right? Rita's Juicy Life. I love that, by the way. I like women to be juicy, especially when they're on this show. Being there, good to see you. Being there is here now. So you are not being there. You're being here right now. Let's see who I thought I saw John here, Bernadette, and I think I saw Brian Anderson here too. I think he's here. So I got a bunch of people listening to the show tonight. So let's start off the show. First of all, this guy, David Brighton. If he's here, he can call in later on at 480-236-2111. It's on the screen, by the way. You can call up and ignite me because I'm lit up already. You can call me up and ignite me, all right? Ignite me so I can ignite a nightmare right on your lap, all right? Let's see. Now, first of all, let's talk about what was going on with this David Brighton. Not a ton of brightness in this Brighton character, but he wants to talk about wearing the mask and when you go out. You know, I'm in Arizona. Fortunately, we didn't have a lockdown in Arizona. We got kind of a request to be more safe amongst each other, all right? So you get on the highways, 101, 202, 303, Route 10, Route 17, and they got all these signs up there. One of them is drive hammered, what do they say? Drive hammered, get nailed. Drive hammered, get nailed. So we all know what that means, right? Drive hammered, drive stoned, drive drunk, and get nailed. We know what that means. You know, the funny thing is my wife is Asian. She read that sign. She didn't know what the fuck that thing meant. Even my mother, I read her that sign and she thought it had something to do with construction. Or there's a lot of construction going on in Arizona. Drive hammered, get nailed. What does that mean? What does that mean, Dave? What does that mean? You know, if you're going to, and I called up the Department of Motor Vehicles, the big fucking loudmouth I am, and I got on there and said, you know what? Instead of being cute, how about being accurate in what you're trying to advertise to the drivers on the road? You're going to get, you know, there's a lot of foreigners that live in Arizona, illegally and legally. We got both. We have a university here, ASU, which houses a lot of foreign students come here to Arizona. They may not get the cuteness of your dialogue. So instead of being cute, let's get the message out. Drive hammered, get nailed. You know what? You're going to confuse people with that sign. I called them up and I said, you know what? You're confusing the fuck out of people that are probably driving half drunk out of their minds and they're reading the sign. What does that mean? What does it mean? This is so back to the topic. So Dave wants me to stay on point, talking about the mask. All right. So now let's bring up some statistics here. All right. I've got some you can see I had something to drink tonight. I never slower my words. Good thing I'm not driving hammered, getting nailed, right? I had a drink because I got to put up with the bullshit from Dave if he calls in. Because I said tonight I'm going to take phone calls. Dave, call in. I figured I better drink, get stoned, get hammered, so I can tolerate some bullshit tonight from Dave, who might call in. If you're listening, call in. Give me about 5 more minutes for my monologue, right? So I can humiliate you before you call in. Let's put up some statistics about said coronavirus, all right? Let's bring up some statistics here. Let me make sure I get them properly on the screen so you can read them. I should probably blow this up a bit so it overlaps. All right, so I think I got it good enough here where you can see it, all right? Let's take a look at COVID-19 cases based on pre-existing conditions. So the whole thing with Dave is he wants to keep everybody safe, everyone isolated, everyone overprotective based upon these statistics. And these statistics are kind of what tells me, you know what, we overreacted to this bullshit based upon the media wanting to keep us in our homes so they can bombard us and blast us with their over-exaggerated fear so they can control us, manipulate us, turn us into social butterflies. That's what they want. They want to turn us into people that are incapable of thinking, only thinking about what we see on the screen as being accurate, all right? So here's some of the statistics here, all right? Pre-existing conditions. Percent of those cases that are non-hospitalized. So look at the 3 categories: non-hospitalized, non-ICU, and ICU. Okay, so non-hospitalized, that means the people walking around asymptomatic or not with enough symptoms to worry about going to a hospital. So if you got chronic liver disease, all right, chronic liver disease is actually one of the things that I'm going to show you later, is one of the symptoms that is very, very much to be worried about if you have contracted COVID-19 and you happen to have the pre-existing condition of being a chronic liver disease sufferer. Non-hospitalized, 59% of the people that have chronic liver disease just don't have a significant symptom, aren't worried about it, aren't chronic, they don't need to go to a hospital, or maybe they're asymptomatic and haven't discovered anything different in their life or their health to go to a hospital. Non-ICU, that means that they went to a hospital, but they're not in ICU. They're not critical. They don't need that critical intensive care unit, specialization care. And then we've got the ICU people that have a significant issue, an occurrence that their critical condition of chronic liver disease or any of the other ones matched with COVID-19 makes them critically needing this care. So you see 59%, 22%, and 17%. 17% are the people that have chronic liver disease coupled with COVID-19 who are in ICU. Remember, it's a pre-existing condition, by the way. Current smoker, if you're a current smoker, take a look at 64, 23. Only 5% of those people are in ICU. Only 5% of those people with those conditions of COVID-19 and chronic and current smoker are in ICU. Take a look at the statistics. Former smoker, 48, 27. It's interesting that non-hospitalized is such a lower figure than the current smoker, which is kind of interesting. And ICU, former smoker, now maybe that means that they've been smoking a lot of years, so it's built up an intoxication. So it's critical, toxic, more not intoxic. It's become more toxic based upon many years of smoking. Former smoker, maybe they stopped 2 years ago. Maybe they smoked for 25 years versus the current smoker that started smoking about 3 years ago. That's how I can justify these statistics of being accurate. So it's 48, 27, 20. Chronic renal disease, 24, 45 in non-ICU that went to. So more people went to the ICU, went to the hospital than were not going to the hospital, and 26% of them are in ICU. So you have more people there that have actually gone to the hospital, but they weren't in ICU. They just went more frequently than the people that were asymptomatic or didn't need to go. Immunocompromised, so that's in a weakened immunity system. 53% who have a weakened immunity system. did not go to the hospital. 24% went, but were not in ICU, and 16%. So basically you can see, and I'll scroll this up, you can see all of the conditions: diabetes, other chronic disease, one or more. So this is one or more pre-existing conditions. You've got 52% non-hospitalized, asymptomatic, not enough symptoms to actually go to the hospital. Non-ICU, they went to a hospital but were not in intensive care. 13% of them actually went into ICU. None of the above. All right, so these are people that were not recognized as any of the critical conditions. All right, they didn't have any critical condition whatsoever. This is an important statistic here because this is the majority of us, right? The majority of us do not have pre-existing conditions. We don't, right? So we don't have one pre-existing condition, two pre-existing conditions, three pre-existing conditions, and matched with COVID-19. So none of the above means just COVID-19, no pre-existing conditions. 84% of us just decided, well, we're feeling pretty good. We got a little bit of a stuffy nose. We got maybe a little bit of a sore throat. We're coughing a little bit, but we're either not having a significant issue with our health or not recognized condition with our health, and we're asymptomatic and we feel perfectly fine. So 84% of us just ignored it, blew it away, said forget it. We're feeling okay. Maybe we're allergic to ragweed, pollen. It's allergy season. Maybe we think it's that. We attribute it to that. Only 7% of us actually went to a hospital, but not in ICU. 2% went into ICU. 2% of the population with no pre-existing condition actually went into ICU, and only an extra 5% went into a hospital non-ICU. 84% of us just blew it off. All right, there's the statistic that Dave, what's his last name? Dave ton of lacking a Brighton. All right, David Brighton wants me to analyze anything else except the statistics, and wants me to agree with him to wear a face mask no matter where I go. Let me pull this back down. And let me put myself back on the screen. And here I am, all right? Someone said I was a particularly handsome guy. I think they were saying that they were going to give me a thumbs up. And I really think that you guys just want to give me a thumb right up my ass because you think I'm full of shit. So let's see. Anyone got anything to say here before I dabble on more and more and more? I have all conditions. So Rita's got a monopoly. You should go out there and play, what do they call that at the casinos? Not roulette, the one where you pick the little stuff and the balls come out. And I'm not talking about Richard Simmons with his balls popping out of his pants. I'm talking about the balls in casinos. What do they call that? I can't think of it. It's such a lame game. I never play it. But she's got everything. She's got a monopoly. You got a full house there. You got four of a kind. You got all those pre-existing conditions. So you know what? If you got all the, good to see Dave Brighton. I just talked to. Did you join the show just now, or were you checked? According to new analysts by the Department of Health and Human Services, we better take everything that they say is factual. We better take every single thing that they say is accurate and non-manipulative in the year 2020 during this attempt to take our freedoms away and make sure that we are manipulated by media and by commercials now, which you might as well call commercials media manipulation, because every commercial, you see a commercial for Carvana. They're talking about how sympathetic they are to the people that now are devastated by the coronavirus. Those statistics that I just showed you shows you a total overblowing of this situation. It's a blowout of bullshit facts. Now, if Dave missed the opening show, I'm drinking here something called, by the way, before the show began, I had a beer so I could put up, I needed to bring the edge down a little bit so I could put up with Dave Brighton's bullshit. And I've got a drink called Aha because I'm going to say, Aha! Dave Brighton is here to give us our daily dosage of bullshit. Aha! He's here for the bullshit. And I bought one. I got this Sunsweet amazing prune juice because I figured I'm going to hear so much bullshit from Dave Brighton that I'm going to be constipated because he's going to try to shove an amazing amount of bullshit facts up my booty, and I'm going to be constipated. So before I talk to you guys anymore, Let me take a sip here of prune juice since I see David's online. Now I know David's going to say, I'm drinking prune juice because I'm this old age, over-the-hill guy who needs to have his colon flushed with prune juice so that the juices flow. So that the reader's juicy life, Dave's juicy life is he's got to have a juicy bowel movement, so he's drinking some prune juice. All right, let's see what David wants to say if he wants to call in. Call in. I'm talking about drinking prune juice to clean my colon. I'm saying if you want to call into the show, it's 480-236-211. Let's see if he's got the balls to call in. See if he's got the balls in his Richard Simmons shorts where the balls pop out, where he's doing a show and tell. All right. See if he calls in. All right, call in if you want to, because I've already probably embarrassed you enough where you don't want to call in. So let's see if you want to call in now, 480-236-211, and you will be the first caller on the show. Hopefully it'll be Dave calling in. Let's bring up something else, the new normal. Sparky wanted to bring up this topic, the new normal. Now, is anything going on right now normal where we want to even put the word normal into a two-word sentence called new normal? It's not a sentence. It's what's a dangling participle? I'm not sure what that is, but Dave knows it because Dave Brighton's got a very small dangling participle between his pants that he doesn't want to call in right now. So that dangling participle is I think, what new normal is. It's not a sentence, it's a fragment, all right? It's a fragment, just like Dave Brighton's is a figment of our imagination when he's talking about his logic behind this coronavirus or COVID-19 or CV, whatever abbreviation you feel like using for this stupid thing with a bunch of abbreviated brain cells in people's heads for over-fearing this particular issue, all right? So this is the new normal. Is this normal? Is this a normal way of living? Do we want to call it the new normal? Do we want to acknowledge this is the new normal, where this has got to be considered now something that's going to go on and occurring for a lot of years? We better get used to this being the normal. What we had before was the old normal. What we got now is the new normal. Are we satisfied living in the new normal? Or do we want to break through this new normal and get back to the old normal? Because there's more fucking normal than this is. Do you think this is normal? Think this is normal to wear a mask everywhere you go? Yesterday I went to buy a shirt. I didn't buy this one. I didn't even go in because you need to have a face mask to go in there and buy a shirt. By the way, I wore this shirt tonight because I figured if Dave sees it, it's going to give him an amazing view of confusion looking at my shirt, because his mental capabilities are very confused. So I figured I would wear a shirt to match my shirt with the internals of his brain, with all of the disformity in his brain and the confusion and the frustration, and not everyone agrees with him. I'm sure he's really in a mood right now to call up at 480-236-2111. And if you don't call in, Dave, then you are really pretty lame. And I expect you to be pretty lame. So that is fine. If you choose not to call and acknowledge how lame you are, then that is perfectly fine with me, because I'll do the show without you. More prune juice. So this is the new norm. How many of you guys think this is normal? Do you think this is a normal way to live? Do you think this is a normal way to have your children live? You know, when I went to that school parking lot and I was walking our dog before school even started for those elementary school students, and I'm walking around there and I'm going to their large fields. Actually, I take that back. It's not elementary school. It crosses many ages. I think it goes from elementary to high school. I think it's multi-age, right? So I'm walking there on the school playground area with my dog, because they open it up to all the neighborhood. All the neighborhood people that live there that don't even go to that school have the ability to use that sports facility. So it just burned up Dave immensely that I could possibly trespass on school property, which, by the way, was not trespassing. We were welcome in there. There were even signs that said, please, if you're walking your dog, please clean up the duty that Dave's going to give us if he calls in, the total duty he's going to give us. Please clean up your dog duty when you're walking through this facility. So obviously they opened it up to the public. I did not trespass on theirs. Dave thinks I trespassed on school property. We were welcome there, Dave. We were invited there as long as we respected the facility. I was there respecting the facility, and the school is just overly concerned about infringement on their property, yet they open it up. They open it up to let people in the neighborhood there. And I happen to be there, and I happen to be taking pictures of signage. In fact, some of the signage I took was actually bordering that school playground area, where they play the lacrosse, the football, the soccer, with adult teenagers there and their 18, 17-year-olds. You know, it's ridiculous. As someone should say that, oh, they have every right to assume you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. So a bunch of bullshit from that. And he says if you want to, what was today's topic? The way it was worded is, if you expect elementary school students, and by the way, they were older than elementary school as well, if you expect elementary school children to endure the trauma of active shooter drills for your freedoms, you can wear a mask to Costco. You know what? These active shooter drills, are we making children over, you know, who's got the responsibility to protect the children in that school area? Is it the students themselves that have to go to drills so that they can learn how to self-protect themselves? Or is it the teachers, the principal, etc., who's supposed to produce a safe environment for them so that in the back of their minds they don't have to be worrying every single minute of every single math course, every single English course, that they're going to have someone break into their school and break into their classroom and shoot them up? Who's responsible to produce that safety where they don't really have to go to drills on a daily basis? Who's supposed to protect them? So I don't get the logic there, and some of you guys probably don't get my logic either, because I'll tell you, it's funny. A lot of people that have children nowadays, they're overprotective of their children. And whether you believe that or agree with it or not, it's up to you. When I was a kid, I told you I crossed Broad Street in Philadelphia. You can tell by the name Broad. I wasn't picking up hookers at that young age. I did later on, but when I crossed Broad Street, 2 lanes in each direction, without a traffic light in close proximity. So people were doing 50 miles an hour down Broad Street to get to the stadium areas, to get to the Navy base, to get to the Navy hospital. They're driving 50 miles an hour. My parents taught me, they didn't teach me to be on my cell phone and just designate or delegate all of my responsibilities to that driver who sees a young kid there crossing the street to get on the Philadelphia Broad Street subway. My parents taught me that I better be street smart. That's a real legitimate word, street smart. I am extremely street smart. And when I look both ways when I'm crossing the street, I do that because I was educated that way, so that I was not educated by my parents that everyone is there, Dave, in the entire world to overprotect you, just like your parents are. I was exposed to an environment that could be dangerous. I was taught to be street smart, to be aware, to be smart, to look behind my back. You go into a restroom, my brother's the total opposite. I don't understand how he was raised in the same family. What was he, when I left the house, what was he brought to the neighbors and educated there? Because he was actually, goes into a restroom, he got robbed and mugged like twice. When I go in the restroom, I look who's behind me. If I see someone's behind me, it looks suspicious. You know what? I don't go in the restroom. Or if I do, my fist is clenched. Not because I want to hold my penis and whack off in the urinal. My fist is clenched because in case I got to slug someone, I'm ready to slug someone and beat the crap out of them if I need to. And I go in, I have a right to carry in Arizona. If I have to do that, I'm going to go in there with a weapon exposed. So if you're going to fuck with me, you know what? You're not going to leave that restroom, all right? You got to be street smart. You got to be. You've got to be now. It seems like you got to be now more than in the 70s or the 60s or the 80s or the 90s. It seems like you've got to be a lot more street smart now than you were before. And we're teaching our kids not to be street smart. We're teaching them that whenever they cross a street, the light brightened up. Finally, when you cross the street, you got. I even had the 5 things that protect you when you cross the street: the 15 mile an hour speed limit, the crossing guard, the police there in the parking lot to make sure you're not exceeding 15 miles an hour, the crossing guard that's there to cross the kids. And by the way, when they cross the kids, even if the kid is with a parent, they cross the kid. Even when the school bus is entering traffic with no kids in it, only the driver of the school bus, everyone has to stop for that school bus with no kids in it whatsoever. What's the guy driving? What's he, an infant? Has he got the mentality of a 6-year-old is driving the school bus? If he's got a mentality of a 6-year-old, we need to stop traffic so the school bus with no kids in it has to wait for that school bus to come in Maybe you better start hiring mentally capable adults who know how to drive that school bus and enter traffic without having to have everyone stop for an empty school bus. It's stupid. It's actually stupid. Let's see, anything. Who do we got here? We got Cindy Sparks. Yes, who is that? Rita? Good to see. I never saw this person, brand new person. Welcome to your nightmare of watching this show, which may be your first and last experience with this fucked up piece of advice I give you guys. Crisp, let's see. Anyone else say anything? Sandy B. Who is the erotic Richard you speak of? He's an erotic nightmare. He thinks he's some sexy guy. There's a guy that likes my show enough where he wants... Oh, we got someone calling in here. Let's see who this is. From Australia. This is Dave Darren. It looks like you're calling in from Australia, except sometimes these cell phones give out of the country when they see a plus behind of the area code. So who's calling in, please?
It's being there.
Yeah, hi. Would you like to? Are you drunk? Are you stoned out of your mind or drunk? Which one? Which are you?
I rang up to say hello. That wasn't a very cheerful greeting.
Oh, okay. So I'll be a lot more cheerful. Welcome to the Dave Darren Show. How are you tonight?
I'm very well, thank you, and thank you for asking. And how is your good self?
How am I good self? I'm listening to your voice. I'm getting more and more horny. So that's how I am. How are you doing? You're doing good. You're looking at me right now. You're probably very excited because I'm a good-looking guy, right? No. Right?
I'm kind of in a difficult situation that I couldn't comment, but yeah, you're pretty good looking, and I liked you better without the rings.
Without the rings. Why? The rings are like an added attraction. They add sexuality to my personality.
That's exactly what I thought. I said it's too much of a distraction.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll keep my hands on my lap, all right? Now, I can't tell you what I'm going to be doing with my hands on my lap, but I'll keep them on my lap so you don't see the rings, okay? All right?
Okay, and that's all right. As long as you're rubbing your arthritic knees or something.
Yep.
That's quite plausible.
Okay, so let's talk about today's topic. What do you think about what's going on in the world with this having to wear face masks? Are you wearing a mask right now while you're calling me? Because I want to make sure I'm safe and I'm not going to catch COVID-19 from this phone call. So are you wearing a mask right now while you're talking to me? I appreciate it if you are. I wish you to do that. If you can do that, please do.
I don't think you'd be able to understand me if I was actually wearing a mask.
I don't think I can understand you because of your social drinking this evening. I would believe you're Are you drinking or are you just... What's the scoop here?
It's like 11 in the morning.
11 in the morning. You should be drinking coffee. You should be all bubbly and excited.
I don't really drink, Dave. Trust me.
You don't drink.
I need all the balance I can get.
Well, maybe you should drink and you would sound more sober if you drink. How's that for a solution?
What do you mean I sound more sober?
Well, you don't sound sober this evening, but maybe you just woke up and didn't have your coffee yet. By the way, when I drink coffee, I'm putting in some frangelica in my coffee. It tastes really good. Or Galliano is another thing, or Anisette. The Italian
liqueur.
Yes.
Tea.
So what do you think? Maybe you're in Australia or maybe you're in England, or wherever you are, you have a really cool accent. I think I've spoken to you before, but what's going on in your neck of the woods?
You've accused me of sounding drunk before. And now I've got a cool accent.
And now you have a cool accent. You have a very cool drunk accent, so I appreciate that. So we got another call from California, but I want to talk to you. We're going to take the California call in a couple minutes, but... So what's going on in your neck of the woods? Is everyone wearing a mask there? Is everyone scared out of their minds? What's going on?
It depends, because it's pretty irrelevant wearing a mask if you're not wearing the proper one.
Right.
I came from 32 years of working in emergency and whatnot, so I'm well aware of viruses and how they work and mutate and virus, I mean, they're like us. They're a living entity. So, they want to survive too. That's why they mutate. But, no, I think there's been, the coronavirus itself is a scary new discovery. And, they will find a vaccine, but it's one of those types of viremias that mutate very easily. So that's the scary part of this.
Well, I've actually mutated.
COVID-19.
Well, actually, I've actually mutated and I've degenerated into doing this show. And it's funny you mentioned it depends. Like
I noticed that.
Yeah, you noticed it, right. Now, you also said,
I thought...
You also said, depending, you said, I asked you how the coronavirus was in Australia, and you said it depends. So are people, in other words, are people wearing Depends, the adult diaper on their faces as face masks? Are they doing that? Are they putting Depends on?
That would actually work better than the mask people are wearing.
That would work better, right?
You actually need to wear those industrial type masks, the ones that you use, not this, but probably I go more like when you're dealing with dodgy, old housing material that could be asbestos, the metal thenioma, what's it called?
One thing I regret about getting old is my wife is no longer on her period, so she does not have any feminine tissues to give me to put on my face. There's none of them. There's none available. I wish she was on her period, then I could use that as a face mask and go into the stores. I don't know.
Oh, dang.
Oh, I told you this show's gotten worse. This show's definitely gotten worse.
No, you need to lift your game. Stop talking about sex.
All right.
Are you getting enough?
You can,
guys, seem to be quite fixated on sex,
come on.
We're here for the rock and roll.
Do you need to
menstruating?
Do you need to ever ask a guy if he's getting enough? Because the answer is always going to be no. Guys are never getting enough. We never get enough.
Yeah,
the women
old enough to realize.
Okay, let me.
Self-control.
Well, guys don't have self-control either. So come on, let's get rid of those fictions right now. Guys have no self-control. They're never getting enough.
I know. I agree with you there, but you do get women that are hypersexual too.
Right.
But it's not normal.
Not normal. Well, this is the new normal. This is This is normal. Totally normal. Totally normal.
We're not supposed to be going all day long. It's not. That's not how we're supposed to really. We're not rabbits. We're not rats. We're not.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for your call tonight. I'm going to let you get a cup of coffee and put on your mask.
It's morning time here, so it's been a hard day already. So I'm just making myself a coffee.
since guys
I'm
are
definitely not drunk on your line.
Oh, okay. You said it's been a hard day for you. I just said guys are always excited, so it's a hard day for us. 24 hours. We are always hard. Even when we drink prune juice, we're hard. All right. So I got to thank you for calling.
Go easy on the prune juice, hey?
Yeah, I will. Otherwise, I won't be able to do a full show without sitting on the toilet. And I would walk the camera into the toilet while I do the rest of the show. So I probably better hang on.
You shouldn't take your phone in the loo, too.
Right, that's right. Well, thanks so much for calling, okay?
That's all right. Do you ever want me to call back? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Call back whenever you like. I'd love to have you back on. Please do, okay? Come on as a guest. Right. Okay, cheers.
And can you remember my name?
I do. You did a full interview about weathered hate. Am I correct? Am I right?
No, it's being there.
Oh, is this being? Oh, really? We got another caller, so let me take the other caller. And thank you for calling the show today.
All right, well.
Cheers.
No, you have a good night.
You too. Hey, this is Dave Darren on the obnoxious, hideous, horrible Dave Darren Show. Who's calling in today? Hello. Hello. I'm getting the silent treatment. Is anyone there? I'm getting the silent treatment. Oh, here we go. Hello? Well, how about that? Oh, here we go. Another ring. Another ring-a-dingy for the same person. Hello, this is Dave Darren. You are calling the obnoxious, hideous, horrible Dave Darren Show, giving you the treatment right now. Who's calling?
Hi, I'm Dave Drumlin. I'm from Tucson. I saw your post about the mask thing.
Right.
Now, do you think if the numbers increase, we should make it mandatory, or are you just against it now because the numbers are low yet?
I'm not convinced that the numbers would go up to the degree that we need to make sure everyone's wearing a mask, because I'm not aware of the numbers being significant enough to do this. And I would also say that the numbers that everyone thinks are so significant are significant because they were matched with other pre-existing conditions, which the people that have contracted the corona with multiple scenarios of immunity deficiency or other conditions that made them more vulnerable are included in those statistics. So I'm not quite convinced.
That's true. I do think that we should do mandatory testing, though.
Yeah, okay. I think...
apparently that's how New Zealand got rid of it, I guess, because they were just doing mandatory testing on everyone. But I mean, I don't think we can afford it. Well, I don't know, because I was thinking, if we can afford to give unemployment checks to everyone, why can't we afford to give everyone corona tests?
I was just going to say that. You read my mind. If we could afford to give everyone unemployment plus the $600 bonus in their employment every single week, plus the $2,400 for each, what was it, $2,400? $1,200 for each person, $2,400 per couple.
Yeah, it was $1,200.
Yeah, okay, so if we could afford to give that money out, how much would the test cost? I don't think it's a significant cost in this test.
I think it's a little under $200, honestly.
Right, well, there you go. So we're paying.
Right.
Yeah, so we could have afforded to do that instead of 1 week giving everyone $600.
Giving everyone internet fun money.
Yeah.
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 Well, I hope you get the COVID, Dave. Penis, fuck you, penis. I hope you get COVID, fuck you, bye.
There we go. Did you hang up? Because I thought that was a fascinating ending to the phone call. And I knew that was coming, by the way. Which is interesting because you get interesting scenarios from some of these hecklers. And I knew it was coming, and I was okay because the guy made some interesting points. If we could afford to give everyone unemployment, not everyone, but how many people are receiving it now? 30 million or something, 35 million people? If we can afford to give them unemployment, and we could afford to give them an extra $600 every week, and we could afford to give them $1,200 per single person, $2,400 for a couple, $2,400 plus $500 per each child, up to 4 children, could we not afford the $200 for the test so that we could test everyone to see if they have COVID-19? Now, the drain on the analysis of those tests would be a significant part of it over and above the $200. To just employ those people to get the test results would be a lot of a demand on the process, right? See, let me take a sip of my AHA. And we notice, that Dave Brighton has not called the show. I guess I've scared the crap out of him. And by the way, I'm going to be able to crap later because I'm still drinking the prune juice. But now I'm drinking the AHA. And a phone call. Here we go. Another phone call. It's Dave Darren on the Dave Darren Show. Extremely hostile tonight. Do you dare call in on one of my hostile nights? Who's calling in? Hello. Hello, hello. Should I say it like Howard Stern? Hey now. Let's see. How come everyone's got to call twice? It's Dave Darren. You are on the Dave Darren Show right now, ready to be embarrassed from being on the show. Who's on? Hello?
Hey, Dave, this is Richard Droiper.
Oh, is it?
Hello?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, is it really? Okay.
Your pal Richard.
Really?
So are you afraid of wearing a mask, Dave?
I'm afraid of you not wearing a mask because your stupidity may leak out if you don't cover your mouth.
Why?
Because you're not a very bright guy if this is the Richard Draper I'm familiar with, or Richard Groper, who I refer to you, by the way. Do you know what
it's Groper, Dave. It's fine.
Well, what do I usually call
I
you?
cover my mouth with a Pez dispenser.
Okay, you know why? The Pez dispenser is so fucking
Also,
boring.
nigger.
I'm tired of the Pez dispenser reference. It's so boring. Every time this caller has called, he always talks about the Pez dispenser. He's a boring guy. Let's see if I get his phone number here. So anyone else that feels like calling this individual up, who's a pain in the ass, can reach him and have a fun conversation with him at the phone number being, let's see if I can grab it here. The phone number is 513-228-7019 if you feel like dialing in to that idiot, or maybe order your Pez dispensers from him. Maybe he's got them. Maybe he'll give you a deal that's better than Amazon.com. 513-228-7019. You know what? Let's try to call him back. See if he answers the phone. He may have one of those numbers that deflects itself. Well, it's ringing. Let's see if anyone answers. Let's see if he's got the balls to answer if I call him back.
You've reached the voicemail of Elizabeth Finken. Please leave a detailed message and I'll return your call as soon as possible. For immediate assistance, please press 0. Thank you.
Yes, this is Dave Darren. I'm calling up because I have about 5 people here. I have Rita's Juicy Life, Sydney, and I've got Chris. We would like to order 3 orders of a dozen of Pez dispensers. So if you can give me a call and give me a price of it, including delivery, I would like that very much. And let's get some Pez dispensers out to some of my frequent listeners. These are good listeners, good people. I know you're a horrible human being to deal with, but maybe we can order some Pez dispensers from you. Call me back, 480-236-2111. Cheers. They decided to not answer the phone because I took all of his creative moments away in that short 15 seconds. He blew his load in 15 seconds of creativity, which he lacks any more creativity. Let's get back to the topic. Dr. Bricks, you remember her? She's part of that coronavirus team, along with Fauci, Dr. Fauci. So today she says, this is Dr. Bricks, that's the female up there on the coronavirus team, vaccine possible by January, on paper. So obviously that means to me, when I read that small little headline in the bottom of CNN News, which I tend not to listen to, so that's why I only caught a glimpse of it. But it was Dr. Bricks, vaccine possible by January, per on paper. That means that they probably have some kind of, they probably got an analysis. They probably have something that they've written down, scribbled on a piece of paper to try to figure out the chemical components that they need to create a vaccine. So on paper, it looks like we might be getting a vaccine in January. Is this entire thing a means to control people? Because now we're all locked in, we're all scared by the media, social media, and even the commercials between the media presentations on TV. We're all locked in our homes. All of our governors tell us to stay home, either mandatory or voluntarily. We're all scared to stay home. We're all told to wear masks. We're all told that a vaccine is coming. Are we now all isolated in our homes for a purpose, for purposeful meetings? To create socialization in the United States, socialized. We got a phone call here on my 609 line. Dave Darren, you are calling on my international 60 line phone number. Who's calling in, please? Hello. And he hung up. It was a person that thought they might have something interesting to say and just decided Dave is too brilliant tonight to even take a phone call because the brilliance overflowing his mind. It's Dave Darren on the brilliant Dave Darren Show. Who's calling in? Okay, a moment of silence. Well, should we all pray? What should we do during this moment of silence? I have a feeling that is one of my hecklers who said that when I talked to Dick Groinpain, Richard Groiper, who doesn't know how to conduct a sentence with a large gap in it. I think he's trying to call, not say anything, to add gaps to my show. I think that's what he's trying to do. So I'll tell you what, we won't answer that phone call anymore from that 609 line for the rest of today's show. Dr. Bricks, vaccine possible by January per on paper. Is this whole thing, this whole virus, is it a stimulated means of secluding us so we're bombarded with a socialized agenda to move us closer to socialism, and it is an attempt to make sure that we're mandated to take our vaccines? Who knows what's in the vaccines that they want to administer to us? We see all these science fiction films where people are laying there strapped down in the beds because they think they've got something wrong with them. What's wrong with them is the vaccine that they're taking into their arms, which is creating them to be in a state of illusion, a state of deteriorating health. Vaccines, how do we know really what's in the vaccines? Especially as they keep on growing, how do we know what is in the vaccines? So I said, let's hold on for a second because I want to cover this topic. So when we think about today's media, today's task force, a coronavirus task force, with the doctors up there, now we're talking about a vaccine coming up in January. Was all of this to create a socialized America, a socialized system brought upon us by Bernie friggin' Sanders and the liberal Democratic Party? Is this a means to pull us in that direction so that there's a total world order or a new norm to be the new norm of the entire world, to be a socialized, mandated world global system? Part of that being mandated vaccines. For what purpose? To control us. Maybe the initial vaccine is a camouflage to get us out of the coronavirus, but that vaccine is a manipulation of our minds. Do we really know that? Are you a scientist in your home that could take a vaccine, break it into its chemical components, figure out what each of those chemical components in that vaccine does to your mind? Do we really know that? Have we isolated and understood each chemical composition of that vaccine to determine, okay, it's helped us overcome the coronavirus? However, the side effect is our minds are more capable of absorbing bullshit, of being more able to be controlled. How do we know what's in these vaccines? How do we really know via our own analytical minds, where we can't break down the chemical composition of the actual vaccines, to understand from a scientific perspective of what it's doing to our bodies, our nervous systems, and more importantly, our minds? Let's answer the call now on the Dave Darren Show. Hey, this is Dave Darren. You're calling from New York. What's going on?
Hey, Dave, what's up? You know, we're experiencing the worst of it out here, but you're a boomer bitch, and I hope you get COVID, you fucking cuck. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck.
See, now there's someone obviously who's been exposed to the coronavirus because he's a nightmare to deal with. So, you know, these people, it's interesting that people think that when they call up the show, they throw off my thought process. When they've got no thought process at all and calling into the show, they think they're going to throw off my thought process. So to get right back into it, the vaccine, see, I can continue on and just disregard that ridiculous phone call quite easily, extremely easily, because I'm one of the guys that can continue on in a conversation. So let's talk about the coronavirus vaccine. How do we know we're not being manipulated? How do we know that we're not being manipulated by people who are calling up the show tonight, who are people that are already manipulated, already brain dead, already damaged, because they think that they're making some sense by calling up the show and trying to derail it? So the total nonsense is what total nonsense could be administered into your arm or into your ass, like that guy there is probably wanting to get up someone's ass tonight. How do we know that this vaccine is not a cure, but a temporary cure to a COVID-19 with a side effect of being mind control? How do we know that? Or can we assume that it probably is based upon what's going on now? It just seems to me like we got Trump up there, a lot of people voted for, including me, that kind of surrendered. In my opinion, he kind of surrendered to the global pandemic, the global media bombardment. Actually, this has all been a bombardment of social media and of media to manipulate us and put the fear in us and actually almost convert Trump into being somewhat fearful because he's the guy that closed down the country, correct? Let's see who this is. It's probably another heckler because it seems to me that people don't want me to talk. Let's see who this is. This is Dave Darren on the Dave Darren Show. Who is calling in? I'd like to figure out who
This is the other Dave. This is Dave Brighton. How are you?
I'm doing all right. What's going on in your neck of the woods? How come you took so long to call?
I'm not sure. You seem to be very angry that the facts aren't exactly in your reality. I'm wearing my mask right now as I call you. I take this very seriously.
Did you see
People
my
are
mask?
dropping dead in the street.
Are they? Okay.
And you're very angry. You're an angry shit boomer. Eat my ass, eat my ass, eat my ass, eat my ass, eat my ass. Fuck.
See, now this individual person thinks that he's let's see, another phone call here, probably from another heckler. These people, they call up a show here to try to, because they probably don't want me to have my freedom of speech, because they're upset that I took and dethroned their master of trolls and hecklers. They're upset about that. And you know what? So what? That's the way it goes. You know what? For the rest of the show, I just won't take any more calls. Because if this show does have to be about me and me alone, you know what? It's going to be about me and me alone. That's the way it'll be, all right? So I don't mind being the guy that has the whole show. I can be the Rush Limbaugh, or I can be the Michael Savage. I can be those guys that just talk for the full hour. And you listen to me, the audience grows or it doesn't grow. I could do this and have guests come on and just never take phone calls anymore. I can do that, and it's not going to damage this show whatsoever. So that's what we're going to do right now. Is we're not going to. Let's take one more from Utah, because we're getting all these other calls. This happens to be a Utah heckler. How's it going? In Utah, what's going on tonight? Yes.
Calling from Utah. Saw your show on Facebook Live.
You did.
Or YouTube Live.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube Live, first of all. First of all, figure out which program you're calling. Are you calling Facebook Live or YouTube
Well, you
Live?
used to be. You used to be on the Facebook Live.
I used to
last
be.
year.
Okay. Last year, yeah. So this
But
year
now
things
you're
have
on-
changed.
Now you're on the YouTube
It's
Live.
amazing. It's amazing the way I switch like that, isn't it? It's amazing. So what's
I
going
just
on?
don't like the YouTube because you can't shrink the window.
You can't shrink the window. Well,
Because before you could shrink the window and listen, but now you have to have the window up.
oh, that's confusing as hell. It's shrinking stuff is a big problem. When you put a shirt in the laundry, how much bleach do you put in before it shrinks? How much bleach do you put in before
I
it
just wish
shrinks?
we could shrink the boomer population so we could get rid of fucking boomer cucks like you. Fuck you, Dave Darren. Penis, get corona, penis, fuck you.
See, now this is the mentality of some of the people here that are really against a segment of the population. It's pretty pathetic, isn't it? Why people would even attempt to target one individual is pretty amazing, isn't it? This broadcast is almost a study of humanity and a study of the deficits that we have in humanity that decide, well, we're going to call Dave Darren's show. We're going to see if we can try to throw him off. We're going to see if we can disrupt this show, confuse him, throw him off course. When the reality is, it's just showing how pathetic a large segment of the population is that just doesn't like the population of people that are older than them. They're just frustrated out of their minds, aren't they? Another call from Australia. Let's see who this is. From Australia on the Dave Darren Show. Hello. Hello. Hey now.
Darren, you need to calm yourself.
Why? Why?
Say,
Well, maybe I shouldn't, because one of the statistics is that people that have contracted the coronavirus have high blood pressure. That's one of the symptoms. So when I get all this hot and humiliated and hostile...
That's exactly right. There's symptoms only if you're predisposed to having hypertension.
Yes.
And also when you have pain, your pulse rate, or viremia, your pulse rate of course goes up. And eventually it'll go down because you'll be dehydrated and malnourished from being sick. So your blood pressure would actually go down towards the end.
Yeah, well, when the blood pressure goes up, what I've done is I'm drinking prune juice, because as the blood pressure gets thicker, my bowels inside of my colon are getting softer by drinking prune juice. So I've got a balance going on here, right?
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, green leafy vegetables are a really, good way of a source of fiber or
Yeah. Well,
a
we did get a lot of vegetables.
vegetable.
We got a lot of vegetables calling the show this evening. We got quite a few vegetables calling in, so it's an interesting.
Well, I hope you're not calling me a vegetable.
No, I'm not at all. No, I'm not.
I'm more of a fruit.
You're more of a fruit. Okay. What kind of fruit would you be? If you were a fruit, what kind of fruit would you be? What would you be?
Lychee.
Oh, a lychee. Okay. Why not a banana?
No, I'm not a banana girl.
Bananas are so sexy though, because like if you become a banana, and then you become a female, and then you have associated yourself with other bananas, and there's no vibrating.
Bananas are good. They're high in potassium. They're good for you when you're sick. Like Coca-Cola, they don't tell you this, but we used to recommend Coca-Cola for women that had terrible morning sickness. They couldn't hold anything down. Because when you think about it, Coke contains everything that would give you in an IV, like potassium, sodium, glucose, fluid.
Well,
although it's got caffeine in it, which is a bit of a diuretic, but it's not too bad in causing too much diuresis.
Well, when you talk about holding something down, remember at the age of 61, I'm trying to get everything up. Holding down is something I don't want to happen. I want to make sure that everything gets up. Right? So holding down is not an option for me. Right?
Oh. And you can take medication for that.
Yeah, you can. That's true. Or you can buy one of those pump-up things where you just blow it up like a balloon. Blow it up like a balloon. And balloons always blow up long before they...
That's essentially a tourniquet. You know, that's not good long term. You'll damage the vessels and capillaries and...
Capillaries, right. I don't want to damage my capillaries.
Oh, you say capillaries, don't you? We say capillaries.
No, we say capillaries. That was exactly right. Whenever we drink beer, we have capillaries. That is true. Well...
Anyway, I've not been a troll tonight, so I hope you don't.
No. Have you been a troll before? Have you called up and been a troll on other evenings? Have you done that?
No, I'm fairly new to YouTube, Dave. I told you when I first introduced myself.
Yeah. So what do you think about why do the trolls call this show and try to freak me out? Do they think that they're getting the best of me, or do they think that why do they do that? From your perspective, why do you think people call up shows like this to try to throw the dude off who's doing the show? Why do you think they do that?
I think they find you're entertaining when you get annoyed, essentially. So you don't get annoyed. It's pretty easy. I did psychiatry for many years, so it's pretty obvious.
So
you react, they keep going.
So we got an aha moment. We got an aha moment. They call me because they like me when I'm hostile.
And also, you've got to remember, trolls can also make a show.
Well, that is true. That is true. They can make the show.
So I say you should unblock everybody you blocked and see how you go from there. Your numbers will go up huge.
Oh.
So why don't you have a what do they call it? Like a amnesty.
Oh, forgiveness.
Would you do that for me, Dave?
Oh, forgive everybody, right? Amnesty. Forgive everybody of their capillaries. Yeah.
Groper included. You do that for me, wouldn't you, Jay?
As sexy as you sound, I might be willing to do anything for you. Call me after the program, okay? I'll do all kinds of stuff for you. All right.
All right. Well, you unblock Richard Groper, and I'll hang around.
Oh, well, why do you guys want me to unblock that guy? Do you guys find him fascinating for some reason? Interesting? What?
No, it's the chemistry between the two of you.
Oh.
I think we're so much alike that
we're alike.
So much alike.
Him and I are alike.
Yeah, in many ways you are.
I'm telling.
In many ways you are.
Well, first of all,
I'm seeing things subjectively.
How are we alike? First of all, in me, I've got talent.
Well,
Richard Groper, we have no
YouTube
talents.
Channel?
Yeah, that's the only thing that we're alike is we both do a show. Other than that, I've got talent. He's got no talent.
Like dogs.
I can speak quickly. He's got no dialogue in his copularies at all.
You're both married. You're both like.
He lied about his being married, by the way. He neglected to tell us when I was trying to set him up with Liz. He was too much of a wimp to come on and say, well, I'm married, but I like to have a little extra. Liz seems kind of sexy. I'd like to have her in my bed with my wife. The guy didn't even acknowledge that he was married. He was trying to hook up with Liz, who I tried to connect him with on the show to give him some sexual pleasure. He didn't even acknowledge that he was married. He was deceitful. He lied to Liz.
I've never seen Groy be sexual with anyone.
Oh, well, he's maybe incapable. Is he limp? What's the matter? Does he need a Dave Darren credit card for Viagra at his younger age? Why is he not sexual with anyone? What's the problem there in the pants, right?
Well, no, I think he must be getting stuff at home if he doesn't bring it off on the stream. You know, I'd say, what are they, that old Shakespeare saying, the lady protests too much, methinks. Or the lady doth protest too much, methinks.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. I think this is what we should do. We should ask Richard Groyper.
What?
We should ask Richard Groyper if he wants to come on the show. We'll allow him to come on the show for $20 an episode. All right? That's what we'll do. We'll charge him to come on the show.
Well, you're going to pay him $20 an episode.
No, I said he's got to pay the show $20 an episode to get his call on the show. So if he wants to come on the show, we're going to actually require him to pay a toll charge.
What about the pay with the chat donating, or the chat donate a couple of dollars if we can get Groyper back online?
Well, that would make sure that no one wants. I don't think the people that listen to the show want him. Although tonight, because tonight seems to be dominated with hecklers and trolls, seems like these guys on tonight want him to be on the show. So I don't expect you guys to contribute, but if Richard Groyper wants to come on the show, just think of it like this. I'm in New Jersey and New York sometimes. I'm in Arizona now, but New York and New Jersey, we have the Pennsylvania Turnpike. We got the New Jersey Garden State Parkway. There's always a charge. There's the George Washington Bridge. There's a toll to go from where you are to where you want to be. If Richard Groyper wants to come on the show, there's a toll to come on the Dave Darren show of $20 to come on the show.
Sorry, I'm smoking a coffee.
You're coughing a bit. Maybe you're using that banana. Are you using that banana? Are you using that banana right now and trying to deep throat it, and that's why you're coughing? Are you using the banana in a deep throat?
No, I'm smoking pot. Dave.
Oh, okay. Smoking some of that wacky weed. How many years have you been doing that? A long time, or a couple recent start, or you've been doing this all your life?
No, I used to do it many years when I was younger, and I used to go to rock concerts and the like. I went to an opera stone too with my uncle, who used to be my dealer when I was younger.
And now, and you stopped for a long time, but the Dave Darren show drove you to smoke.
Mum.
Did I make you light up? Is my show making you start to smoke the wacky weed again? I know wacky weed's like
I mean your shirt just screamed, being there, go and have a time. So I thought, why not?
Huh.
Your shirt just made me want to go and have fun.
Oh.
So keep wearing those shirts. You bring Groyper back, and I'll keep calling you. Is that a deal?
I'm not sure. One more question for you. My shirt that you see right now, if I lower one button, would you like to put your hand down my shirt? Would you have liked to do that tonight? If you were here face to face with me, would you have loved to feel under my shirt? Would you have loved to do that tonight? With a banana? With a banana?
Oh, hang on. I'll ask my husband.
Take one more hit and then answer the question. Take one more hit and answer the question, all right? Take another hit and then answer.
I think I should ask my husband first.
Oh.
Rufus.
Huh. Okay. You can do that.
Rufus, do you want me to you can talk to roofers if you wish. Roofers.
Oh, Ruford is his name. That's a nice name. I like that name, Ruford.
Roofers, yeah. Oh no, he's up on the roof.
He's on the roof. Roofer's on the roof.
It's all right.
Okay.
Roofers is on the roof.
He's probably after hearing tonight's show, he's probably gonna jump off the roof and you'll be single. All right.
All right.
All right.
No,
All right. Well, cheers. Thanks for calling.
All right.
Thanks for being the last caller of the Dave Barron Show. Cheers. Okay. That was being there. That was being there on the Dave Barron Show, and you've been there. You've suffered through tonight's show. All of you guys have suffered through tonight's show, and I am going to end it now with what? I'm going to end it now with the closer of the show. That's all I got for tonight. All right, guys. Thanks so much for calling in, listening to the show, having some fun, tolerating the hecklers as we do periodically on the show. That's all we got for tonight, guys. I am out of here. Cheers.
Sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
I don't even wanna keep the score.